Hey everyone, welcome to Pickleball and Beyond. My name's Ryan.
My name is Vino.
And today we are looking at the Vulcan V710HT MAX and the V730HT MAX. The Frizzle and Drizzle.
These are the updated versions of the previous 730 Max and the 710 Max.
Yep.
And according to Stephanie, the Vulcan definitely is not sizzling.
So Vino, let's hear your initial thoughts on these two paddles.
Well, according to my notes right here, which Stephanie has put on, like we're trying to define each paddle as like, you know, a hybrid, a control, a power. She went and said limbo. So it's shouting a lot of disappointment, right?
Yep.
But I mean, just as you take the paddle off, and we haven't played much with this, you know, it feels cheap. I'm really, really sorry to say.
Yep.
For a $249 paddle.
What?
Especially for that.
For that price, like if you like take close-ups of it, the plastic seems walked out, right?
Yep.
It's already like shipping, and like we use this not that much. You know what I mean? A couple of games max just to see how it's playing.
Yeah. The grip on both of their paddles, it's the same grip that Vulcan's been using, and we're still hoping that they'll make a change. I think compared to every brand out there, I think it's about currently the worst one offered on the market.
I mean, again, $249. I can actually feel the honeycomb inside, which is starting to feel a little disappointing.
Yep.
This far in the game, with a good company like Vulcan, I think they can up their game.
Yes.
That being said, this surface is very unique. Right?
It's the most unique surface ever.
It's this high track surface, correct?
Yep, and we'll zoom in and show
you.
It looks like a maze was drawn on the paddle.
Yes.
I mean, essentially, it's the most interesting paddles that I've actually ever used, I think.
And in all seriousness, I would say this is supposed to be a little bit more power oriented.
Yep, due to the shape.
Yes.
And then the 710 Max is looking to be, you know, with the shape of it, it'll have a little more control than the 730 will offer.
Agreed.
But let's jump straight into the power on both of these paddles. So I was expecting more because the thicknesses would be a 13 millimeter. You know, not even a 16 millimeter paddle. I was hoping these would, you know, really be able to get some oomph behind the ball. Lots of 16 millimeter paddles coming out nowadays.
Yep.
But both of these were just very, very soft hitting paddles, especially the 710.
Yeah.
I was really struggling to, you know, finish points or even hitting drives from the baseline. It was really tough.
It was really lacking, and like I would almost go to say that the earlier version, the 730 Max, had a little bit more power than this one. I mean, like there are cheaper 16 millimeter paddles that hit way better than this, and I think that was what was wanting in so many areas. Yeah. And I mean, this is a signature paddle. I mean, so it has to work for someone, right? Yeah. But we just felt like there was not much power on it.
Yep.
Yeah, like even I remember there was few shots that I was like hitting at you and you were trying to reset it and you were almost pushing it.
Yep.
Get what I mean? Almost like a 20 millimeter paddle or something like that, where you had to push it, right, for a reset, than like a power thin kind of a paddle.
Yeah.
Let's go to control.
Yeah. So the control on both of these, I noticed the sweet spots on neither are that large, which made it tough to hit those resets. And I think that's what led to a lot of inconsistency. Like usually when I'm hitting, we'll start with third shot drops. Like usually I've gotten a super good feel where if I hit it, I'm like, oh, that was totally my fault. It's not the paddle. I know, and I almost never want to blame a paddle, but sometimes, unless I hit the exact center, if I was just barely off, it felt like it could change the projectile of the ball by like a foot, it felt like. It was just, you know, that lack of consistency due to that small sweet spot is where it became super frustrating. And I think going back to the power, if I hit the dead center on these and put my heart and soul into it, I could get the ball to move at a decent pace. But it felt like as soon as I deviated a little bit from that exact spot where I had to hit it, even the power, the control, everything, it flew right out the window.
And I think it translated well in our measurements, like as far as the twist weight on both of these goes. This is slightly more at like a lower force. This is actually on the higher 3, so it's like some of the lowest like twist weights that we have seen. As far as swing weights go, both have very high swing widths. It's on like 125, 120. Like, so it's really on the higher side. I think it might be even a little bit more. So it translated on like almost like a very heavy paddle.
I was gonna say, so with that extra weight, you know, being the Max ones, these are heavier paddles.
Yes.
And the fact that we were hoping, since, you know, 14 millimeter, that heavier weight, we were hoping that redeeming quality would be that, okay, at least it still hits hard at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's coming at 8.4 and 8.2. So these are heavier paddles for like a thinner profile, right?
Yes.
So, and it didn't translate to anything that we were expecting it to do. And so I think that was kind of the disappointment. I mean, we've already talked about it. What do you think about spin part of it?
Yeah, so as far as spin goes, you know, super new surface. This was something we had never used, and I didn't know what to expect coming into it. And, you know, the more we played with it, we were, you know, disappointed in this category as well. If I had to throw a number out of 10, how much spin it generated, I'd give it maybe a 3.5, 4. Like, you could sometimes get the ball to move. I'm curious what you would say for it.
I'm right there with you. I would give it, I mean, it's got a little bit of spin.
It could get some spin on it.
But you really, again, you got to get really used to it. It's not like the regular, like the carbon fibers. You take it and you kind of feel the spin to it. If you force it, right, there's no dwell on it, right? Absolutely none. So like if you kind of force it, like there's a little bit of grip to the ball. But again, I think like the spin was just under good for me. Like so around like the 3.54, I think it's like out of a 10. That's exactly where I would put it. Adaptability.
So both of these paddles I found super hard to you know, jump straight in with.
Our dinkings were really bad.
Yeah,
because we were testing some really demoing some really good paddles that day, right? And when you come up from those like 16 millimeter, even the power ones that has control, you really had to always hit the center, right?
That's what was tough about this. And then it was also worse as far as, you know, drives or smashes.
Resets. My goodness,
I think,
geez.
you know, it just didn't have a spot where it shined, where it's like, okay, this is the redeeming factor, where if you're this type of player, I could see how you could use this paddle. But it was just really tough to find, especially at that current price point of, you know, essentially $250 to suggest this to somebody. There's just so many great options out there. And I think, you know, I like to see them trying the new technologies. It was, you know, very interesting to play with, but I just think there's a lot better options out there.
And again, like I think just ending up like value for money for $249, like I can't justify it anyway,
I'd still go back to like, you know, I remember I started with a $150 Selkirk Amped Epic, or any of those Selkirk ones for that price. Like, I mean, I would much rather play with any of that line. I mean, that's just one of, you know, there's so many great paddles out there now for $100.
Unfortunately,
for $100 less.
Yes. So, I mean, if this was like a $79, $80, $90 paddle, I might have considered it. Get what I mean?
Even it's around. It's just unfortunate that it's such a high price point for what we feel you're getting. For it.
Anyone wants to try it? Please feel free to reach out to us. We have this for people to demo. Like again, I said. Paddles are a personal preference, right? It's like shoes. Like, you know, you go and wear this one shoe and like it just doesn't work for you, right? But for some person, it might work. So I'm not writing it off. There might be some people that, you know, it would really speak to. So if you want to demo it, please reach out to us. Please subscribe. Definitely helps our channel. Comment. We love hearing from you guys. Thank you for joining us on this paddle review. Hopefully we'll see you on another one. Thank you.